All right.
Are you really using it as your background?
Yeah.
And we're not going to talk about it. Just that way,
Just
it's
there.
even more funny. But if you want to bring it up, I mean, Zeus may go grab something.
You could get a plant.
There's stuff back there. I don't even know what it
But
is.
you have to
man.
put the plant upside down.
I know.
All right, we got to get going
Okay.
because I got to drive.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, it's all about you, man.
No,
All right.
hold on. Safety.
Hold on. Are we recording? Oh, thank goodness.
Oh, boy.
All right. So you can start it and then.
All right. What is it? 161? Welcome back to the Friends of Zeus Podcast. This is episode 161. Tonight, the ship is going to be steered by Michael here.
Yep.
On the Sanford and Son set.
I knew he wouldn't be able to resist.
Yeah. Was it 28 seconds? Yeah. No, that's fantastic.
Dun, 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 it.
With this fake background.
We're actually hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah. The background is called Replacing Your Sewer Line. That's the name of the background.
I like hoarder chic.
Hoarder chic. So I'd like to welcome everyone in podcast land to another episode. And I would be remiss if I didn't have a moment of silence for the Francis Scott Key Bridge that collapsed today for everyone up in Baltimore. But we're going to do a little episode tonight on the Trump trials and the indictments, the 91 indictments in 4 criminal cases and 2 civil cases. And I'm not going to go deep diving. I wanted to do a ton more research, but you know, we have jobs and stuff like that. So I know a little bit about it. But the main thing is, the main point of this episode, as far as I'm concerned, is on the media, you're always hearing about all these indictments, 91 indictments, all these trials, all this stuff is going on. And like the media does many times, they try to make things seem very complicated when they're not very complicated. And they just throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall, saying, you know, 4 trials, 2 civil trials, 91 indictments. And they never actually get into it and examine like what's actually going on from a legal perspective. And I'm no lawyer. I know Jack is, but
He's not your lawyer.
Right. I just wanted to, again, not an expert. I don't know everything about it. I don't even know a lot about it. But I just wanted to take a second to show people like what we're talking about when we're talking about.
So as a disclaimer, don't take any legal advice from us.
Yeah,
because
don't take.
Jack as a lawyer is not your lawyer. You just do your legal research and consult your other
That's
lawyers.
right.
Thank you. Bye.
Exactly.
Thank you, Desiree.
Yeah, Desiree. Seriously. So that is like the best smug shot ever, in my opinion. So what we have, this is just the cover screen. We have 4 criminal cases that are 91, that total to 91 counts, and 2 civil cases that we're talking about. Case number 1, we're going to do the 4 criminal cases first, and I'm doing these in order that they were brought. And again, these are not comprehensive descriptions. This one, the media really, they call it the hush money case. This is a non-disclosure agreement case. It was brought by Alan Bragg. He was the first one to indict. I'm not sure if any former president has ever been indicted. Do you know that, Jack? Or
I don't off the top of my head, no.
Nixon? No?
I don't think he was indicted. Anyway, he was definitely the first one to do it in modern times. and this is 34 counts. Now, again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to get into the minutia of this, but from listening and reading other people who are lawyers, these 34 counts are basically 3 or 4 counts that have been expanded through legalese to become 34 counts. In other words, I mean, an example would be,
Is it like when somebody kills somebody and then they cut up the body?
And then they also
so
get
say, so they say it's murder
charged with
and mutilation
illegal
of the-
discharge of a firearm or something.
and you're getting rid of like 20 body parts,
right?
because you were really good and you chopped them into little pieces.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
but
and then
now,
they hit you with
they
20
say
counts.
they say murder and
Right.
then like disfigurement of a corpse and then illegal use of a hacksaw. Like it just.
In other words,
weird.
it was a pile on. I mean, in other words, the point
Yeah.
is, and again, I'm not trying to convince people of anything. I'm just going to be as plain spoken as I can. The 34 counts, they wanted to be able to say it's 34 counts. If you look at it from like just a rational person's view, it's like 3 or 4 counts, even if you agree with it, which I don't. And again, the propaganda of calling it hush money when it's an NDA.
Well, it certainly
situation.
makes it last longer. It certainly makes it sound more severe than it actually is. It's all this whole changing definitions of things. Like I think probably it was only in recent years that we did hear these persons accused of murder and then the disfigurement of a corpse. And then like, I don't remember that like 10 years ago.
I mean, I'm sure it happened. I mean, I'm sure. But I mean, look, it's
to make it sound more severe than it actually is.
the bigger
Right.
issue that's
Well, it actually technically is hush money. That's the point of the contract. But to call it that is to glamorize it and to criminalize it or make it sound dirty or
Yes.
make it sound
Frivolous.
not frivolous, to make it sound criminal, basically.
Yes,
He paid him off hush money not to say anything about the murder,
like it's covering up something. And again, in this
like a crime.
In this case, it's not the NDA or the quote unquote hush money that's the issue. The issue is what they're saying is that this money that was the $130,000 that was given was a campaign contribution that was
Right.
undeclared. So what they're saying is this $130,000, Trump, they go into his mind and they say the reason he's doing this is because he doesn't want it to come up in the campaign while he's running for president.
Right.
And therefore, that
It should be a
$130,000 is a campaign contribution, which is undeclared. So this is the limb that we are out on.
Yeah.
Go this way. This
Right.
is the limb we are out on this case. This is the first case. And I'm not gonna dwell on these. I mean, we can talk about them afterwards. I'm not an
Mike,
expert, but if you guys want to extrapolate.
Well, no, the only thing I remember, because I mean, as far as I mean, I got to admit, like, I haven't given a ton of thought because it's been a while since he's been indicted on these. And now we're in the throes of these cases and you have drama coming out of the, one indictment you'll get to led to its own court TV extravaganza that we just went through.
Yeah.
But with this particular case, the hush money NDA case, right? What I seem to recall at the time was a lot of people pointed out the fact that the statute of limitations on this had already run out. And they basically doctored this federal legal theory to be able to get him. I don't know if you remember that, but they had said that they couldn't go after him with the statute the way it was because the statute of limitations had already expired.
Yes, it was a New York law.
Yeah.
And the thing that is so crazy about this case is basically you have a district attorney, DA Alan Bragg, who's bringing a case and doing everything he can to massage it into a federal campaign finance violation, which he has no jurisdiction over at all.
Right.
Well, so he is again, as we'll say in other, when we're talking about other cases, this is a novel case. This hasn't happened before. So we're going out on a limb, and it's during the election year, and they're going after one of the major parties' front-running people, and there's no precedent for this case.
So here's my question. I'm not a lawyer, but don't you like get juries in a different state because they can have bias in the case?
You can request that, but
Yeah, you can
Didn't this
request
guy
that.
literally say that the core of his campaign is to
Mhm.
be the guy that brings Trump down or something like that?
that was Letitia James.
Mhm.
It wasn't this guy. I
No,
thought this
it-
guy said something like that.
It wasn't this guy. So
Okay.
Alan Bragg, this case
I thought so too, Zeus.
this case that he's bringing, and he's trying to link it to a federal campaign finance violation. It was, and forgive me, I don't remember the order of this, but his predecessor was brought this case and turned it down, and is on the record saying it was ridiculous. It went to the Southern District of New York, and they turned it down. The Southern District of New York is probably the most progressive,
Yeah.
not being nice, jurisdictions in the country. They turned it down. Alvin Bragg himself was presented with this case a year before he indicted Trump, and he turned it down. He said it's ridiculous. There's no way. There's nothing going on here. A year later, all of a sudden, he brought it. And it's again, if you talk to people who are serious, it's garbage. It's totally garbage. Again, he took 2 or 3 or 4 counts and turned them into 34 counts for a headline. All of these things we're going to be talking about, it's all about the headlines, in my opinion. Do you guys have?
Well, wait a minute though, Mike, because look, if this goes to a jury and let's say any of these charges survive the motions and the evidence that's going to come in, right? Like, let's say there's still some charges that are presented to a jury. Bragg knows in New York, it's almost a guaranteed conviction.
Exactly.
So throw everything against the wall. As long as something sticks, we got him. Even
Yeah.
if the case is stupid.
Yeah.
Like the New Yorkers are going to be like, yep, oh yeah, he meant to do this to alter the campaign results, and he used campaign funds and didn't declare. They're just going to go with
They
it.
want one count to stick.
Yeah.
Because then they can call him a convicted felon.
Yep. Yeah.
And the truth is, although there are people who are, they're going to walk over broken glass to vote for Trump, there's other people that may not be like that. And
Right.
that's if you're not really in tune with what's going on, I don't know if you vote for a convicted felon, right?
No.
So how is this not election interference? I mean, again,
Well,
it's
and
like,
again, but here's
Yeah.
my point: is he is vowing to focus on the Trump case? Is that fair
Well,
to say?
he has been, at the detriment of other
The
cases.
whole idea of a judge is to be not to be looking at both sides,
So-
and like he's focusing on the Trump case.
In New York,
Hmm.
the judges are elected, from what I understand. They are not appointed. And they're not,
I'm not sure.
they're elected, which is a whole other question. But
Yeah.
again, not to go back into all this constitutionalism or whatever, but a little cliff note for all of our viewer out there. Like, the whole point of the Constitution and our form of government is it is necessary for the people involved in it, i.e. the citizens, and the representatives that we send to DC, to be virtuous, right? To want to better the country, to want to defend the ideas in the Constitution. If they are non-virtuous, and if these judges elected and DAs appointed are non-virtuous and doing things for political purposes other than the rule of law, you get to where we are now. and it's
Yeah.
incredibly dangerous. It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, let's go to the next one because we only have, what do we got, 5 hours for the show? All right. Case number 2, 40 counts. This was brought in Florida. However, it was originally, let me just see if I can move this here. It was originally brought in DC.
DC, yeah.
Jack Smith brought this before a grand jury. And what this is basically saying, this has to do with the Mar-a-Lago documents. You can look into that. I think we did a whole episode on it. But basically, the grand jury was seated in Washington, D.C., and it moved forward. But then, and I don't know what the events were, but basically people were like, wait a minute, the area of interest is in Florida. That's where the grand jury should be. And so instead of going through all the evidence with the grand jury in Florida, Jack Smith went down there and was like, here's what the people in DC said. Are you okay with that? And they're like, okay, we're okay with it. And there it goes. So it's on shaky ground to begin with. And I'm not even getting into Jack Smith's appointment, which is also on shaky ground. But basically, this is brought in Florida, and it's saying that the President of the United States basically violated the Espionage Act, even though there is the Presidential Records Act, which was signed and passed in the late 70s, saying that he was holding confidential information in his home in Mar-a-Lago. Not getting into all the nitty-gritty details, basically, the President of the United States is the one who classifies things. He is the executive branch. If the President of the United States comes out onto television like Barack Obama did when Osama bin Laden was killed, we talked about this on a previous episode. When Barack Obama went in front of the United States and said, and I'm not faulting him for this, this is the case. He said, we have killed Osama bin Laden. He declassified that information by saying. So a president has a lot of leeway when it comes to confidential information. This case was brought saying that he was keeping things that he shouldn't have had. There were negotiations going on between himself and the National Archives and Department of Justice. Now, in the past, this process, this negotiation, would go on for years, for decades before it would be resolved, because presidents would say, this letter from Zeus that I got, I want to keep that. And they're like, well, it's kind of part of national history. They're like, I don't know, I want to keep it. But with Trump, all of a sudden, again, these are novel cases. These are things that never happened before. They decided to send a SWAT team down there to a building that's defended by the Secret Service that you need to know someone to even get into. And they laid all this stuff out on the floor and took pictures of it to make it seem like it was some catastrophe. It's garbage. Again, these things are garbage. They want to be able to say it's all these counts, it's all this stuff going on. Now, this judge, Eileen Hannon, she is the only judge that we're going to talk about in this whole proceeding who is behaving like a regular judge and not behaving like a Democrat Party apparatchik. And that is causing her to come under intense scrutiny and fire from the entire alphabet media. This lady is Satan. If you look at CNN, MSNBC, NPR, she's horrible. Anyway, this is case number 2.
She kind of looks like Gina Carano.
Yeah, she kind of does.
Yeah.
Do you guys got anything on this one?
Well, I just had a question, Mike. Are you saying that, because I don't recall, are you saying that Jack Smith, or rather that Trump on this case, was Trump actually indicted in DC and then they just said, well, now we're going to have it in Florida, or was he indicted in Florida?
That's a fantastic question, and I should know that, and I don't.
No,
know.
that's okay. But you
Yeah,
had said though, you had said that the case started in the DC district,
In
and
the
then
right, that's where they brought the grand jury, and that's where they
maybe
indicted
that's.
him originally. Now, did
Oh, they did.
They did. Now, did they
Okay.
re-indict him in Florida?
No, I don't think they. I don't think they would have had to. I think the venue would be transferred. There'd be an argument to change the
Yeah.
venue,
And
which might have been brought by Trump's people.
and the whole thing is, again, this guy Jack Smith, and when I'm not going to get into it in this episode, but the whole point that look, the whole point of a
Is
special.
that Jack Smith in the picture?
Yeah, this guy.
Is anybody failing to see how much he looks like Hunter Biden?
Yeah, he kind
Yeah,
of
without the
like,
beard.
he kind of looks like a human anus.
Wow.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that special counsel, typically the executive branch appoints a special counsel to investigate people within the administration in order to negate any idea that there's, shenanigans going on. You don't typically appoint a special counsel to investigate, like look at Clinton and Ken Starr. It was the Clinton administration that appointed Ken Starr to investigate Clinton. Again, say what you want about Clinton. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to work. You're not supposed to appoint special counsel to go after
your opponent.
the guy that's running against you in the next election.
Right.
Anyway, this whole thing is garbage.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
just before you move on, I mean, just in terms of, because we did a whole episode on this.
Yeah, we did.
On this, and I think we did it on the warrant being executed, and I think we did another one on the indictment itself. I
Yeah.
could be wrong about that.
I think we
But
did.
from what I recall about this case and about the four cases in general, I got to say, Trump in a way got very lucky that this particular case is the one that's being tried in Florida, where, at least there's a fair shake. The perception of the voters in Florida, more of them are Trump supporters than you get, say, in New York City by a long shot. So there might be a more fair outcome on whatever charges go to a jury. But it's also, maybe in my opinion, the most dangerous case for Donald Trump, because
How about for democracy?
no, I'm talking about like the case against like the elements of the charges. I mean, I remember we talked about, they had an audio recording of him talking to a writer in New Jersey, and and supposedly from the tape, you can pretty much infer that he's looking at military documents and talking about them. Now, I still think as the president, he's got the right to say, I declassified them. But on the tape, he says that these are classified or something. Like there was some real foot and mouth evidence about it.
Correct.
And so this, I think, is their strongest case, or the most dangerous case for him. It's just my opinion. Like it just seemed like, when we really got into the meat and potatoes of this particular, I remember being, and I think Tom and I were both on the same page, that we were kind of like God damn it, Trump, what did you do? Like, you kind of gave this to them. Like, you should be, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of did something really stupid here.
But the thing is, and I mean, to a point, I agree. But the thing is, this case is really an attack on Article 2. It's an attack on the executive branch, because the fact is, it doesn't. I'm not talking about practical. I'm just talking about letter of the law. The president of the United States, Joe Biden, is the executive branch, and under the executive branch is the whole classification system, the entire FBI, Homeland Security, CIA, DOJ, all of that. He is the primo numero uno guy. So, and like I said, that example earlier with Obama, when he
Obama.
talked about if he says it, if he tells
Declassified.
somebody, hey man, da da da,
Even though he says it's classified, it's
Who-
no longer classified because he's
he
talking
just
about
said it. It's like, who's over the president? And so
Nobody.
is it smart? No, it's not smart. I'm not saying it's good, but I don't see from a legal standpoint how you go after a president. Now, in this case, the thing that I think is interesting is we have a Secretary of State that is credibly accused of deleting 30,000 emails, right? We
Yeah.
also have a current sitting president who, before he was under these protections of Article 2, when he was a vice president, when he was a senator, basically is on record taking classified information from a skiff.
Mhm.
And
putting
and
him next to his crock pot in his
right.
garage.
And what I'm saying is, no matter what you want to say, if Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden are walking around, this case is garbage. Because
Yeah.
Trump at least had the cloak of the presidency, right?
No, Mike, you're right. You're right. I mean, there's no doubt about it that this is selective
It's
prosecution.
selective
And
prosecution.
this is a banana republic. This is basically unthinkable in the United States of America that this is all happening, especially a case like this where, like you said, it typically takes decades before a former president starts, forks over everything. That, okay, I
Right.
went through everything, guys. You can have this. This is the stuff I want. Okay, obviously he's within 4 years of being the president of the United States.
Like,
So it's
2 years. Yeah.
total bullshit. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then Biden, I don't even know. I think we talked about this on the show. When the prosecutor or the DOJ's report came out about Biden and the classified documents that he didn't have the authority to have at all, they said that they had enough of a case to present against Biden, but he didn't have the mental capacity for a jury to believe, that he ever did anything wrong. He's
Yeah.
he's just a doddering old man who's not
Yeah.
in control of his faculties.
Yeah.
And he's still the president of the United States. I mean, like right now.
I'm every day, man. I wake
I
up
know.
and I'm amazed. I really am.
Yeah.
I mean, you're 100% right, Jack.
Yeah.
We should probably, I think what would solve this whole problem is if we sent a bunch of money to the Ukraine.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad we're on my page.
Yeah. No, and also I think it's so important, Zeus, that it should be the first thing out of the president's mouth at the State of the Union address.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's just ludicrous.
Jeez, man. So this case, it's a total disaster. What are you doing?
Go ahead. Just keep talking.
So, I mean, basically this is saying that the president of the United States engaged in an insurrection where where he was trying to take over the government, even though he volunteered like 10,000.
But who
National Guard
placed the
troops.
bombs? Nobody wants to talk about that.
Did you guys see that article I
What'd you
linked
say,
to in the
Zeus?
chat? Oh, I'm sorry. This is federal election interference, federal DC. Judge Tanya Chutkin, who's actually a neighbor. She doesn't live that far from here. But basically they're saying that he was trying to overturn the 2020 election. And again, this
What
is from
is
Jack Smith.
conspiracy against rights?
Yeah.
Wait, what's that?
Now, we went through this entire January 6th committee. I know. Yeah, he keeps popping up. There was no evidence presented that there was an insurrection. No one's been charged with an insurrection. Trump has not been charged with an insurrection. So this one confuses me. And again, I'm not a lawyer, but how you get charged criminally for challenging an election, which is something that's happened in every single election since I've been born, which goes back at 20 years plus, probably at least 20 years.
Yeah, you're like what, 26?
So, I mean, it goes back a long time. It happens all the time. Again, this is another example of business as usual being criminalized and nobody looking into it. And as far as the media is concerned, it's 4 more counts of election interference.
Wait a second, Mike. So this is the January 6th case?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so the allegation, because it's, I don't think I've seen it broken down specifically like you did it. I mean, like, I thought about that case in general terms, that
Mhm.
he basically incited a riot and advocated people to go and stop an official proceeding. You're so is that pretty much what
Yeah,
these
that's
charges?
yes.
Okay, because it says there's 6 unnamed co-conspirators.
Correct. Other people like Mark Meadows, other people in his administration, which I don't have their names here, but and even in the other cases, in the one in Florida, no, I'm sorry, in the one in Georgia, there's like 18 other
Well,
co-conspirators.
right. Okay, but this particular, the Georgia case, I know you're going to get to, so we'll talk about it. But these counts are strictly because he gave a speech.
That I didn't deep dive this.
Okay, no, I'm sorry
I don't
then.
know. I mean, that's apparent. They're saying that he incited an insurrection, yeah.
Yeah. But it's just funny that they didn't charge him with that, and they broke
That's
it
what I was
down
about
into
to say. I'm confused.
these specific,
Yeah.
and then who's the conspiracy with? He corruptly obstructed, he tried to defraud. Like, how, I mean, I just don't see that in this. Like, I don't know where that comes from.
And
This, and the speech too, he blatantly said, go and make your voices heard.
yeah.
I don't think he said, I want you to go storm the Capitol and I want you to, obstruct the proceeding.
Here's the other challenge I have for everybody. It's like, why is it that Michael and the Friends of Zeus podcast has to like put this stuff up on a PowerPoint presentation? Like, where is MSNBC? Where's Chuck Todd?
I have a
Where's
question.
ABC? Where's CNN? Like,
So,
why don't we know all this stuff? Yes.
Yes, Des.
okay, so inciting an insurrection would be an actual charge if
That
that
would be
were.
treason, probably, in this case.
Yeah, I don't know.
Um,
I mean, there's the counts, right? Count
Mhm.
of corruptly obstructing an official proceeding, conspiracy to obstruct, conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy against rights.
Because I just have this thought that conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding is not the same thing as inciting an insurrection.
Right. So they call this an insurrection, and yet the counts don't ever mention insurrection, which is interesting. But when you look at it on the news, it's the insurrection case.
Well, you know what? I think I can explain that. Maybe the feeling is that because they're saying that he commanded a mob to go and cause a delay, right? You can say obstruct. To say an insurrection, it sounds like an armed attack against the federal government, like a civil war type move, like a
Right.
battle. So maybe they just said, yeah, there's no way that dog's gonna hunt, but we can at least suggest that he was advocating, he was basically telling his supporters, go and break up this, because that's where they were going to certify the election. That's what ended up getting delayed. So maybe that's their legal theory, but I still just have, and there, and then DC, that's, again, it goes back to who's the judge and who's the jury. Like, they're gonna, they're unless all these charges get motioned out, they're going to have a perfect anti-Trump jury to be like, oh yeah, he totally did it. No matter what.
So and to dovetail on that, Jack, so a lot of people don't realize this, but the District of Columbia, it's the voter registration is like 96% Democrat.
Right.
So it's not typical of any other metropolitan area. And again, it gets into the whole like jury of your peers. Is it? I don't know. But that's why, Smith wanted to bring the other case in DC and was
Right,
too
of
upset
course.
when he had to move it to Florida.
Right.
So I was talking to somebody the other day, and this goes a little bit off subject, but I still
Oh
find
man, don't go off subject.
well, it kind of fits in. I still in the weaponizing of the justice
Mhm.
system. That they said that John Paul McIsaac has been like discredited, like they're saying that there's nothing on the laptops and all that, which
Isn't that crazy?
it just blows my mind because
Yeah.
I mean, at least our subscriber,
Yeah.
they've
see it.
seen it, and the guy is not. I will go to my grave saying that guy is not a spy. And
No, they're not trying to sell that still, are they?
What's that?
Are they still trying to sell that?
The mouth breathers in the liberal camp, or I think will always stick to
Don't
that.
make me go back to that joke, man.
And like he got swatted recently. Is anybody familiar with the term?
Really?
Yeah. Are you familiar with
I didn't
swatting,
know that.
Jack?
No.
So swatting is when they call the police and they say, yeah, there's a guy in his living room with a
Are
M16
you
and he's
serious?
shooting.
He got
yeah,
spotted?
yeah, he wasn't at the house, but this is
recently?
all. I guess it was recently. I just barely know anything about
Dude,
it.
we
But
gotta get him on the phone.
they'll call the police and they'll be like, yeah, there's a guy in his underwear with an M16 and he's shooting at cars outside of his window, so that it will cause the SWAT team to come out to their house and
Wow.
put guns on it. So I think there have been fatalities in these. I'm
Oh, man,
sure there've been.
Yeah, actually, one of the more famous swatting crimes that's actually happened in Wichita.
But that's
Well,
not even
but-
on the news.
But what
That he was
the-
swatted.
What, Desiree?
Said one of the more known cases of swatting actually occurred in Wichita.
Wow.
It's pretty sad.
Did anybody die in that situation, or
Yeah, somebody died and it wasn't even the
so like,
target of the swatting.
this? And I know we're talking about the indictments, but
Cool. Yeah.
the complete disregard for honest reporting. Like anybody gets swatted, it should be on the news.
Oh, it's completely crazy, man.
Now maybe it was on the news and maybe it wasn't
I haven't
national.
heard it.
But maybe it wasn't national. Maybe it was the Delaware news. He's in Delaware, right?
No, you know what it is? You know what it is? Zeus. The reason why it didn't make the news is because he wasn't home.
But still,
You know what
it
I
should
mean?
make the
Like
news.
if they had gotten him, or if there was a big, allegations made about the alleged computer repair shop, and they'd have footage of SWAT guys bringing him out, like the whole Roger Stone thing. I could see it just being to discredit him and humiliate him even more,
And
just for the trouble.
Yeah.
such a nice guy. Like he oozes nice guy.
Yeah, but he's an enemy of the state, man.
He's an enemy of the
I'm
state.
so
man.
glad. I'm so glad that he had the sense to clearly he had the sense. I will make a supposition that he's got copies of those
Oh,
hard drives
It's
all over the United States.
dude. That cat is out of the barn or horse.
Yeah,
whatever.
I think it'll
it's
keep him
everywhere.
alive unless they can Afghanistan him, which
Which we need to trademark that expression
We
because
really
I
do.
think we coined that here
yeah.
on the Friends of Zeus.
But it's
podcast.
like this is all, and like so this one that we're looking at here, if they did not say that he caused the insurrection, right? They pretty much
Right.
So why is this even
Right.
Yeah. something this should be wiped off the slate?
And here's my big question: if Donald Trump was not running for president, does anyone think that these cases would have been brought?
No.
That's a rhetorical question. But
And again, I've stated before, I don't like Trump, but this is fucking nonsense. And that we need more. This is going to sound really egocentric. I don't mean it this way. We need more people like me that can look at a situation,
yeah, no,
and
we
see
do.
it for what it is, and still not like the fucking guy.
That's why we've
Well-
been trying to clone you, man. and it hasn't. We've had some unsuccessful attempts.
Yeah, they'll be coming out like, oh wait, I just did a Trump, didn't I?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. One more interesting thing about this case. Didn't they impeach him for this and it didn't work?
Yeah,
Didn't
the
they try
second.
to
Yeah,
impeach
they,
him
yeah,
for
they like
impeaching?
No, the
impeaching him or something.
second. It was the second impeachment. The first one was the phone call, and the second one was insurrection.
So
phone
isn't this
call?
all like double jeopardy shit?
No, because impeachment is not criminal. It is a
But it is
political
legal.
trial. No,
No?
it's not. No,
Okay.
you can't go to jail for impeachment.
No, but wait a minute. There was a legal argument presented that you had to convict a president in impeachment hearings first before you could criminally charge him. They
Oh.
did make that attempt. I don't know if that's been heard yet.
But the thing is, in both instances, the Senate did not convict.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So
So
that
he was what's the
he
term,
was
Jack?
acquitted.
He was acquitted.
Yeah, there's an acquittal. That's a legal term, correct?
It's something that legal people say.
Jack, you know
Yeah,
any
well-
lawyers you can get on the show?
Yeah, you're talking about double jeopardy, right?
Yeah. It seems like there's a lot of that going on in this. We need to get Morgan Freeman on the show to talk about this.
You know, I was up on the Francis Scott Key Bridge today,
Oh
and we saw
boy.
the ship coming, and I was like, I better
Getting
get
out.
out of here.
That's a terrorist attack. I'm telling you.
All right, next slide. Whoop, case 4.
Oh,
This
she's
is-
a dirty girl.
Oh man. Now,
Yeah.
Her name is Fanny, for God's
I don't even
sake.
know if I have to say anything about
No,
it.
they're pronouncing it funny.
It's Fanny.
Ah.
Really?
It's Fanny. In Baltimore, we say Fanny. So, Judge Scott McAfee, who was actually, I believe, a previous subordinate to her. Is that correct? I believe,
I'm not sure.
before he became a judge. Anyway, so this case is a complete dumpster fire, and I would
I
have
believe
you,
the political term is shit show.
yeah, you can go to TMZ and get all of the latest on this one.
Mhm.
But
A lot of-
basically,
A lot of live footage of her hearing anyway.
this one is saying basically that President Trump, at the time, calling the whoever in Georgia, saying, "Can you find an additional 11,000 plus votes?" Again, which is not something that's uncommon. He
And he
wasn't
didn't
saying
say
like, "Can
make
you
them up."
make them
Right.
up?"
Yeah.
In other words, it's like there were all these processes of things being counted and recounted, and he was like, "If you can just find blah 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 blah." But now this turns into,
I mean, it is shady.
Rico.
Admittedly, it's shady, but
but again,
yeah.
another novel
I know,
case.
I know.
This happens all the time.
Yeah.
But now they brought it, and it's like a RICO Act, which is just like completely bananas. And this lady, like the next lady we're going to talk, well, 2 ladies from now, I think, basically made this like her career objective. And also, if you look here, she's wearing this dress backwards. And I would like to, yes, Desiree.
This reminds me of Hanging Chads.
Yes.
And why wasn't anybody Rico acting then? I don't know.
Here's my
I don't know.
here's my
Well, I
question.
want to know about this backwards dress though. Like, why is the zipper on the front here?
Some dresses have.
I find it's
zippers on the
ironic that
front.
she's got a pearl necklace on.
Why?
Sorry.
We'll be back in a few minutes, everybody.
After we edit this.
We're gonna.
No, here's my thing. You're in politics, and I've referred to the old Charles Barkley commercial before. Don't do what I do. I'm an asshole kind of vibe, idiot.
Right.
If you're in politics, you should be as squeaky clean as you possibly can. She knew she was up to shenanigans, and she still put herself into the biggest news story for the past how long? 2 years?
Yeah.
What kind of moron does that?
Well, also they're taking
Kind of with a
again
backwards dress, that kind.
a backwards, which again
It
Look.
does seem easier to put on if the dress
I
That's
am.
true.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
hospital gowns.
maybe she can't reach behind herself.
Yeah, you always got to ask for help.
Yeah,
Look, I'm never going to be one to complain about
and you can never get
a
the
zipper
snap
on the
top.
front, but my point is, this person is trying to bring a case. This person is trying to bring a case saying that Trump tried to interfere in the election. And again, this should be a federal case, not a state case. And again, all of these cases, well, not all, but this one and the ones in New York being brought, there was a Supreme Court ruling a couple years ago that allowed state prosecutors to bring these cases, which is, again, it's bananas. I mean, the idea that a DA in Georgia or New York would be able to disqualify a federal, someone who's up for federal election for someone like me living in Maryland is preposterous. But that's what we're dealing with right now. I mean, bananas.
What are your feelings on this guy? So, is he?
No, I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know if he's elected or I think he's appointed.
Well, no. The reason I'm asking is I know that you said that this is an unbiased. Taking a step back, but I've noticed.
Yes.
Now, just call me crazy, but I've noticed. Hold on. Let me say this because this is only. I've noticed that the people you appear to not like,
right,
have clown pictures next to them.
I didn't even notice that. I'm sorry.
He doesn't have a clown picture.
Yeah, I think he probably could have one.
Yeah, he could.
I'd like to point out the judge in this
photo.
No, I think this was the website I got it all. I have nothing to do with that.
The judge looks very bored.
I have nothing to do with that.
Case.
Does it look like I had enough time to do that? Okay. So here's
maybe that's what took up your time for further research.
Exactly.
Putting the clown pictures next to people you hate.
This took
in an unbiased
way. Here's the counts. Here's some more. These are all these counts in Georgia.
Psychologically speaking, Mike knows that everybody hates clowns and is scared of them, so he just subtly put the clown pictures.
Was he ever on trial in Georgia? I don't know how they get perjury.
Yes. So this is the case where
asking for the votes, right? Wasn't that
asking for the votes? But this was the case where Fannie had her boyfriend hired as an attorney on the case and paid him $650,000 a year, which also, by the way, was more than any other lawyer had ever been paid on the case. And then this guy Wade, that's his last name, took her on vacations that cost tens of thousands of dollars using the money that she did. Anyway, I mean, that's only if you know
what, Hillary and Bill really had it right. Just kill fucking everybody involved in anything you did.
It's the only way to be sure. So, man, so that's that case. We have two more, and then so the fifth case.
Me sad.
This is a civil case. This was the this has been adjudicated.
Who's that clown again?
Yeah, EJeanCarroll. There's a lot of ways to describe this, I guess, that are technical, but basically he was not found guilty of rape. He was found civilly responsible for
a rape.
For sexual assault. I don't even know what how do they slice this?
Yeah, I think they called it assault. Well, remember the civil case against Trump for rape and sexual assault, like you said, he was already found not guilty of the more serious charge, and they got him on the lesser charge of assault.
Yeah.
And he had to pay her some money for that. But then the day of that judgment, where a jury basically said, okay, he assaulted her, whatever, you know what I mean? And they granted a cash reward. I think it was like 80 million to this woman for this shit that she made up years after the fact. The night of that verdict, Trump was on, I believe, CNN, town hall, and he was interviewed by who hosted the town hall? It was the brunette. She's always tan. She got the jet black hair.
Caitlin Collins or
Maybe,
no?
maybe.
Yeah,
She always has like this angry expression on her
yeah,
face, like she
yeah.
doesn't
Caitlin
smile.
Collins. Yeah,
Yeah, so he was on with her, and somebody, either an audience member or probably her, brought up this verdict that came against him that day. And he said, look, I never met the woman. I don't know. That never happened. Like, he pretty much just said that never happened. Like, he reiterated his innocence after. And so now, so then the next day, she sued him for defamation.
yeah.
That was pretty much what this new civil case. So she's already gotten like
80 mil.
$80 million from him for something that the criminal statute of limitations was long, long
That's what I was
gone.
about to say.
And then also, she basically made it up. There's no way that this happened. There's no way that this. Supposedly, the allegation was it was a major department store on Fifth Avenue. He was in there. She was in there, and that he pulls her into a dressing room and he rapes her. And then he goes about his day. Like,
Her?
that's just.
She's the
Yeah.
one that
Yeah,
looks
that's crazy
most
looking
like the
lady.
clown in the upper left-hand side of the picture of.
Well, I think this was like 30 years ago or
I think
something
that's
ridiculous.
disrespectful, Zeus.
Yeah.
You're right.
think so.
I shouldn't insult the clown like that.
Anyway, it was a long time ago, and it came out of left field. And
Yeah.
I don't know what jury believed that this possibly could happen.
Well, again, and the whole idea of, you look at this first civil case, case number 5, the first 4 were criminal,
Right.
and they're all built on a house of cards. They're built like the Francis Scott Key Bridge that just collapsed today.
Way to timestamp us.
Yeah, man, I'm bringing it back. Anyway, my point is, if you look at these things, you have to look at them in total. You can't just look at each like, if you start trying to examine each individual case, and they're flimsy, and you can make the case that they're BS, but you don't even have to go that far. If you just look at the aggregate, you look at all of them together, there is no question among reasonable people that this is election interference. I mean, seriously, I mean, who believes otherwise? I mean, it's completely bananas. This is totally election interference.
Okay, I'm gonna take it back. She was kind of a honey back in the day.
Yeah, but she's not from the Ukraine, which seems to be the
We should
women
send
that
them some
Donald
money to
Trump
blow
is
this
attracted
shit
to.
up.
No, we're almost there, Desiree. We're on. Okay. All right. This is the last one.
Who's that pedophile?
This
Who?
is Aragon, who, I'm
That's the
sorry,
judge.
I misspelled his name. Engeron. I misspelled his name in our text thread, which, by the way, if you send $100 to our, what is the email
Friends of
address?
Zeus Podcast at yahoo.com.
We will give you a link to our live text stream,
Ooh, that's a doozy.
which is amazing. Anyway, so Engeron, this is the one that recently Trump was supposed to post, what, 457,000? It was downgraded to 175. I'm sorry, 457 million. It was downgraded to 175 million that he had to post bond for. And this was about lying on forms for loans for real estate development.
And so it's funny. I was discussing this with somebody the other day. Oh, same person that said that JPMI was discredited, and they were like, well, this isn't fair to us, and that we can't have these loans. And I was like, yes, but if we did do what Trump did, most likely how it would work out is they'd be like, now you have to pay fines, and you pay your fines or pay in the loan completely, and all would be fine. I would assume. It seems like the natural course in the law. If you can just honor whatever you owed, then all's good. which he did. And so that's where
And
I
no
get
one
bothered by
lost
it.
any money.
Right.
He paid all these loans
Yeah.
with interest. And listen, I don't know, I'm not a real estate expert, and I'm certainly not a New York City real estate expert, but I would direct any people watching our podcast, look on YouTube, look up Mr. Wonderful, and look up this case, and listen to what he has to say about this.
Mhm.
This is something, when they talk about like fraud. What basically happens is, imagine this on a smaller level. So Desiree has her house, and she wants to get a loan against her house, and her house is worth $5, and
$5.
no, I'm just using this and anyway. So she says their house is worth $5, and she goes to the bank and she says, "Look, I want to get a loan on my house, and it's worth $7." And the bank is like, I don't know. I think it's worth $6.50." And you're like, okay, this case is going back and saying, Desiree, you committed fraud by saying that your house was worth $7 when at the time it was actually worth $5. And even though the bank came back and said it was worth what, $6.50,
$6.50.
5.
right?
Yeah.
And
$6.50.
they granted you the loan, which is typically 80% loan to value. Anyway, they don't give you the full amount something is worth.
Why come
And
you did that, Desiree?
and you
And
paid it
didn't send an
back,
appraiser out to get that, to actually get the truth or whatever.
right? And you
Right.
paid it back with interest, and everybody was okay. And the banks in this case came to
Don't want to do anything.
Desiree and said, "We would love to do business with Desiree again because we made money." This is what you get. Again, another novel case.
Mhm.
This has never
I don't know
happened.
that this seems like a dream situation for a predatory lending
But
kind of thing.
no,
So it's
this
not.
has
I don't
never
know if it's
happened.
novel.
Not only that, this case, let me just break it down for everybody. If you want to know how off the rails the party is, and I'm not talking, I mean, I used to say the Democrat Party, but it's really the Uniparty. It's DC establishment. If you want to know how off the rails they are, this case by itself will destroy the New York City real estate market if it is held. If
Yeah.
this,
Because it sets
if
precedent.
Trump does not win on appeal on this, I mean, have you guys ever seen Escape from New York? Get ready for it, because that's what
Yeah.
you're going to see. If this case stands, it is complete pandemonium. I can't exaggerate it enough. To me, of all the cases, this one is the most bananas.
Yeah, and also,
Yeah.
yeah, Mike, my understanding about this case too is that procedurally, this judge, without any defense, just on motion and on the documentary evidence, I think he already per se found that this was fraud, and that now they're arguing over the numbers. Like, I don't
Yeah.
even think Trump was able to defend the the claim. Like,
But
he
it's
just
already.
said-
But it's already been
Paid.
paid.
Not paid. I'm saying Trump's first day in court, he when he walked in the doors, he was
Yeah.
guilty. They were just
Yeah,
deciding like what the amount was.
right.
That's how bananas this was. And again, listen,
Oh, and
everybody.
also, Mike, also this same judge, I believe, didn't he value Mar-a-Lago at like $20 million?
18 million.
18 million, Mar-a-Lago.
The
18
thing that
million.
stretches from one coast to the
It's
other coast.
20,
Yeah.
20 acres in the most like expensive, I mean, other than Beverly Hills. Yeah, the house next door went for like 150 whatever. Look,
Yeah.
here's the thing. If people want to look at this episode of our podcast and start getting into the nitty-gritty about like this or that, you're missing the forest for the trees here, really. I mean, the point is, what is going on right now is a catastrophe.
It's the fall of Rome.
It's bananas, man. It is totally insane. And you turn on the news, you turn on NPR or CNN, whatever,
It's unreal.
and they're talking about this like it's like it's real. I mean, this is totally insane.
No, and also, Mike, on top of that, the same people you're talking about, the talking heads on these networks, Joe Scarborough is literally saying Trump is going to execute people if he becomes president. Rachel Maddow is telling everybody, like Biden, it's the end of democracy. If he wins, it's the end of democracy.
It's the end of
I got news, kids. Democracy's already dead based on these cases that we're seeing right now. It's already over.
And actually, if Trump or RFK were to win, it would be a sign of democracy.
Look,
they don't want that.
As vice president, I may vote for him, but he didn't.
He picked some Google.
I know, that's a total disaster.
Wait, if he had picked who? Mike, if he had picked who?
Mike Rowe.
Okay.
Mike Rowe.
I love Mike Rowe, man.
I like Mike Rowe too, but how about no celebrities?
No, I would still.
I like RK, but he's making some dumb moves right now.
Man, it is. People need to open their eyes, man. Like I said, I can't. Oh, Zeus is gonna go. Yeah, he's gonna go pee in the roses. But
yeah, I've got to go, but I'll wait till he comes back.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Two dudes shouldn't go to the bathroom together.
No, it's probably not good, man.
No.
But I'm just saying my whole point of this episode was not to. I'm not a lawyer, but this is ridiculous, man. I mean, I don't care what your beliefs are, what you think of Trump, whatever. If you're looking at this and you think that these 6 cases that we just highlighted briefly for you on episode 161 of the Friends of Zeus podcast, if you think that these 6 cases are 100% legit, I welcome you to make a comment or to explain that to me as a public service, because I don't know. I'm lost. To me, it's a total catastrophe. To me, it is big government putting their boot on my neck and trying to prevent me from voting for the person that I want to vote for. That's my opinion. Yeah, and I'd love to be persuaded off of it.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care. They either love big government and they love seeing the Constitution and the Bill of Rights get stripped away. And here's the thing. You have people out there that are so indoctrinated Democrat. I've met them, especially up here where I live, that whoever the Republican is, they automatically hate him. They believe every negative word about him. They will talk shit about him or her. Doesn't make a difference because they're Republican, right? So then you add to that the fact that he's Donald Trump. Oh my, forget it. They hate him like he's Satan himself, and they want to see him burn. So they don't care that we look like a banana republic. They don't care what the DOJ is doing. They relish it. They love it. They can't wait till he's convicted and he loses. And then, like you said, it's election interference because you also have the people that aren't quite sure what they want to do yet, right? Yeah, I mean, maybe they voted for Biden, but they just can't vote for him again, right? And then maybe they're considering the border and the foreign wars and inflation. And they're thinking, well, maybe I have to vote for this Trump guy, man. Maybe we need somebody different to try to correct some of what's going on. And because they don't hate Trump and they are independent, right? And then all they see is this shit plastered all over the news, all these horrible cases, and he did this and he did that and he did that. And on top of that, this is my point about Scarborough and Maddow, Mike. Even that is not enough. You have to add he's going to kill people if he gets elected. You have to add that he's the end of democracy. Yep. You have to make it look at like the women on The View, Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg. These people work for the same cabal. I'm convinced of it. And if they don't, they're working for free because they hate the Republicans and they hate Trump.
The country. And they hate
And they right. Well, and that's another thing. There's a whole movement against anything that is American, traditional, Christian, white. I mean, that's going on from the same power structure.
Yeah.
And Trump represents the hero for all of that shit because he at least talks the right game.
It is so blatantly the scab has been removed, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so out in the open now, and it's shocking to me. I have this little game I play with myself.
Ew.
Well, I have another
Don't we
game I
all?
play with myself, and when I'm in the car, I
In the
turn
car.
on whatever I'm listening
In
to.
the
Whatever I'm
brave.
listening to,
Get stuck in
I
traffic a
turn
lot.
on NPR. I turn on NPR, and I count how long it takes for them to mention race. And it's typically less than a minute.
You
That's
should.
typical.
I've got some breaking news that
But-
I'm gonna.
But no, what I'm saying is, to what Jack's saying is, if you look at MSNBC and CNN and all these cases that we're talking about on this episode, you are not going to get any, you're not even going to scratch the surface of analyzing it in the way we did. And we didn't even do it because I don't even know all the details. Like, we're just asking questions, but they won't even go that far. They will just push the propaganda. They'll push the 91 counts. Oh, he's been indicted 91 times. There's 4 cases. There's 2 civil cases. The jury, the judge, he owes this amount of money. They are all rowing in the same direction. It's a train wreck. People need to wake the fuck up, man. Seriously, I don't know how else to say it.
So
People need to wake up.
I got some breaking news.
Oh, yeah,
You should play this game when you're taking when you were taking the train across the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
Yeah. Well,
to
there is no
DC.
there is no train.
But
that
but
goes-
but Biden just said on the news that he was
Yeah.
closely attached to the Francis Scott Key
there's no
Bridge
bridge there, fellows.
when he would drive the
ladies.
train, when he would ride the train to DC, which would be really out of the way. I'm
Yeah.
just little breaking news that
Yeah, there's
Biden
no-
is a zombie.
There's no train there. So Desiree, what's
Nor
going-
would you take that route to go to
you
DC.
no, you would never
It
take
would-
that route to go to DC.
This is a little insight.
Is that
deep,
like when he
but-
said he grew up in Puerto Rico?
Who?
Trump? I mean, Biden.
Oh, Biden. He grew up in a Puerto Rican Jewish neighborhood.
Mhm. It's Puerto Rican.
Desiree, how are the naders doing lately? We need a
You
nader
know,
check-in.
there's been some naders on the horizon.
No way,
Not
already?
here. Yes, already.
Wait. Is spring the season for naders? Do you get them in the winter?
We get them all the time.
No way. Come on, really? You get them year round?
Do they get names?
No.
Oh, because I think Ralph would
They're
be a
not like
great one for that.
Yeah.
Ralph Nader.
There was on the very earlier this week there was on the western part of Kansas, and then last week there was like up towards Kansas City area where that's where the naders were. So not where I live, but
Do you guys have like a underground thing?
No, she's got a panic room.
no. So most people in Kansas do have basements,
Yeah.
but they're really expensive to build
Yeah, of
because
course.
that's a lot of concrete pouring and stuff. So what we have is a like our master closet is a FEMA safe room.
Oh, okay.
And so it's a concrete like room basically that's like it's kind of, it's attached to our house, I guess you could say, but really it's disguised as like my master closet. How it
So, so it's not your panic room.
I mean, you can call it that. I mean, it's a FEMA room.
Okay.
Well, I would like to.
So like the rest of the house would be swept up in the tornado, witches riding by on their bikes, and
it would be like this concrete
this
room
is concrete.
that would be
thing.
left, and probably my gun safe.
This is a public service announcement from the Friends of Zeus podcast. But if you live in a building or are in a building that is 4 stories or more, and there's a hurricane, you should go to the stairwell, because stairwells since like what 1965 or whatever. In any building that's 4 stories or more, is independently structurally.
Oh, that's
A
not
thing.
that's not my building.
I'm just saying, if
Yeah.
you go to the stairwell, you should be fine.
Let's know. Well, if you live in Kansas and there's a nadir and you don't have a basement or a safe room, they say that you should just go to the most interior room of your house and fucking bring a helmet.
But the sit,
I've already
But-
got one.
but the sitting in the bathtub help. Do people sit in the bathtubs?
Yeah, they do.
But here's the thing: in the old days, if you had a house built up until like the mid 70s, the tub was like cast iron. But after that, a lot of them are acrylic.
No,
So that
it's
doesn't
not
make
the
any
tub.
sense.
It's not the tub. It's the fact that bathrooms are most of the time the most interior room of your house.
Oh,
So it's the most.
that's
So
some straight up Kansas.
it's either
knowledge.
bathroom or
That's-
closet.
yeah, that's in Kansas right there.
But anymore, I
straight up
mean, the
Kansas.
bathroom is not the most interior part of your house. It's usually like a closet, like a hall, like a, like a linen closet or something.
I'm just gonna run around like this the whole time.
Well, hey Jack, do you have anything to? We were talking about tornadoes and sitting in bathtubs.
Yeah, they had.
No, I got nothing.
It's got key bridge.
I got nothing on that stuff, so I'm sorry. I would have learned some things if I'd been sitting here. Why are we
If you're
wrapping?
ever
Wait,
driving-
Mike, Mike? Is this your way of telling me you're all that you feel done?
I think we're done, like the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
Oof.
Okay, well then I guess we have been on for a while if that's where we've gone with things. So maybe it is time we wrap
Didn't-
things up.
Did
This
you
has
wanna-
got to be
what you do
the episode that has had the most mentions of the Francis Scott Key Bridge of
Yeah.
all of our episodes.
No,
That's so
and
weird.
I'm so sad that it's gone, man. I mean, seriously,
there
my
really a
heart
couple
goes out to
people on it?
Baltimore.
Let's have a moment of silence for the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Okay.
And maybe
All
those that
right,
were on
love
it.
you guys.